It was April Fool's Day. Ji Hui got dead drunk in a bar and insisted that I go pick him up in person. Before I even pushed open the private room door, his loud, arrogant laughter cut through the noisy music, sharpened ear minus piercing. He raised his voice, bragging boastfully to his group of friends surrounding him. Reeking of alcohol and vanity, my wife, if I tell her to go east, she never dares to go west. She will always obey me without a single complaint. The crowd around him whistled and cheered, fanning his ego, feeding his meaningless pride. Then one of his friends grinned mischievously, pulling out a prank divorce agreement printed in formal format, the words clear and I- catching. Perfect timing. Brother Wei, since it's April Fool's Day, let her sign this for fun just to liven up the mood. I pushed the door open and walked in. For a split second, Ji Hua's eyes flashed with shock at the sight of me. But the moment of clarity was quickly swallowed by heavy drunkenness and foolish vanity. He did not feel guilty at all, nor did he soften his tone. Instead, he grinned casually and handed the divorce paper straight to me without hesitation. Wife, just sign it. It's nothing but a harmless joke for the holiday. I flipped through every page of the agreement calmly, my expression cold and unchanged. On the last signature page, his name was already written neatly and firmly, signed without the slightest pause, as if this April Fool's prank had never been a joke to him at all. I looked up at him, my voice icy and low, hiding all the disappointment that had built up over years. Are you absolutely sure you want me to sign this? He completely failed to notice the coldness in my tone, nor did he see the quiet despair in my eyes. He simply waved his hand impatiently. He indulged in the cheers of the crowd. Sign it. Stop being such a buttskill and ruining the fun. In an instant, all the people around fell dead silent, no one daring to make a sound. Only Ji Hui kept laughing loudly, oblivious to how broken the atmosphere had become. I held the pen tightly between my fingers, signed my name slowly, steadily, and decisively without a single tremor. I folded the divorce agreement neatly, put it into my bag, turned around, and walked away without glancing back even once. Behind me, Ji Hua's laughter died abruptly. The entire private room sank into heavy, awkward silence. Some people froze mid-Midas movement, holding their wine glasses in the air, unsure whether to put them down. Others avoided my gaze, too embarrassed to meet my eyes. Ji Hua's closest friends were the first to snap back to reality, rushing forward awkwardly to smooth things over, their voices trembling with anxiety. Sister Minus and Minus Law, please don't take it seriously. Brother Hui is dead drunk, he didn't mean a single word of it. It's just April Fool's Day nonsense, pure prank. Someone tugged at Ji Hua's sleeve urgently, whispering a warning. Hui Ji, enough is enough, hurry up and apologize before it's too late. Ji Hui stumbled slightly, finally sensing that the atmosphere was terribly wrong and oppressive. He lifted his head and looked at me, the fog of drunkenness fading just enough to let a trace of panic seep into his blurred eyes. He reached out suddenly and grabbed my wrist firmly. My heart skipped a beat uncontrollably. For a fleeting second, I hoped he would say he was sorry, that none of it was true, that he would take back the agreement. Even a simple sentence asking me to go home with him would have made me hesitate. But he only frowned deeply, his tone sharp and annoyed, completely self-absorbed. It's just April Fool's Day. Can you stop being such a spoilsport? I stared quietly at the man I had loved for 5 years. In that moment, all the words in my throat vanished. There was nothing left to say, no feelings left to salvage. I took out the divorce agreement again, folded it gently, and nodded calmly. Fine. I won't spoil your fun. I walked to an empty corner in the bar, sat down quietly, and took out my phone. I opened the Civil Affairs Bureau official reservation page and booked the earliest available working day without hesitation. The date shown on the screen stabbed straight into my heart, cold and sharp. April 6, our 5th wedding anniversary. How bitterly ironic it was. I stared at the cold digital date for a long time, memories flooding back and widened. On the day we got married and received our marriage certificate, Ji Hui had also been slightly drunk. He had held my hand tightly at the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau, grinning foolishly and vowing solemnly that he would never let me shed a single tear, never let me suffer any grievance for the rest of my life. His promises had sounded so sincere back then, so full of love. Now those vows were nothing but empty echoes. My phone vibrated twice in a row. Messages from Ji Hui popping up one after another, casual and thoughtless as usual. First message, don't be mad. Wife, he'll make it up to you when we get home. Anything you want. Second message, seriously, it was just a stupid April Fool's joke, don't overreact. I did not reply to either message. I flipped my phone face down on the table, cutting off all contact with him completely. Soon after, I heard him speak loudly on purpose, clearly wanting me to hear his dismissive tone. Forget her anthems, let's keep drinking and enjoying ourselves. Right then, the private room door opened with a light push. A woman walked in on high heels, her footsteps crisp and deliberate. It was Tang Wanju. She smiled sweetly, her voice soft and deliberately affectionate. Hui Ji, why did you start drinking without waiting for me? Ji Hui leaned forward slightly when she patted his shoulder, not annoyed at all. Instead, he smiled and doubled it, used to her closeness. Traffic jam on the way, no worries, sit down. She drew out her tone coquettously, acting overly familiar with him. I sat quietly in the corner, watching them with cold, empty eyes. Tang Wanju finally noticed my presence after glancing around the room. Her eyes widened slightly in feigned surprise, but the corners of her mouth lifted with hidden provocation. Oh my, I didn't see Sister Minus and Minus Law here, so sorry for being rude. In the past, I would have lost my temper on the spot, argued fiercely, cried and felt wronged. Ji Hui would have coaxed me patiently, apologized, and we would have made up as usual, repeating the same cycle of hurt and reconciliation. But not this time. I felt nothing, no anger, no jealousy, no sorrow. I stood up slowly, picked up my bag, and looked past Tang Wanju straight at Ji Hui, my tone flat and emotional. You've had too much to drink. You can't go home alone. Luckily your friend is here, let her take you back safely. I turned around and left without another word, without a single glance backward. The room fell silent for 2 full seconds. Then Tang Wanju's sugary voice rang out. Don't worry, Hui Ji. I'll get you home safe and sound. Ji Hui mumbled something too quiet for the music to carry. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ji Hui staring fixedly at my retreating back, his face darkening instantly with irritation. He tossed his phone roughly onto the sofa in a fit of petty anger. Tang Wanju immediately stepped close to him, patting his back intimately, her gestures overly familiar, like she had done it 1,000 times before. Don't misunderstand, Sister Minus in Minus Law. Hui Ji and I are just close brothers, we're always casual like this. Don't take it to heart. Once upon a time, I would have turned around to explain myself. Ji Hui would have chased after me to apologize. His friends would have blamed Tang Wanju for being ignorant and rude, but I kept walking forward steadily. There was no need to look back anymore. That night, I returned to our marital home silently and began packing my belongings without a word. When I pulled open the nightstand drawer, an old silver ring slipped out and clattered onto the floor. The ring was worn smooth from years of wear, simple and plain. Engraved faintly on the inside were 2 letters A.H. Ji Hui had handmade this ring for me when we were young and poor. He had looked at me with pure, sincere eyes and said firmly, "This means Ji Hui and Cheng Yuan will stay together forever, never apart." I had worn it every day for years, treasuring it more than any expensive diamond ring. Later, he said it looked childish and cheap, forcing me to replace it with a luxury gold ring. I had obeyed him, but I kept this old silver ring hid unsafely all along, unable to bear throwing away the last piece of his old sincerity. Once, he had truly loved me with all his heart. He had run across 3 cold streets in the rain just to buy the roasted chestnuts I craved. When I casually said I wanted to see the sea, he planned the entire trip, asked for leave for me secretly, and took me away without hesitation, just to make me happy. I had once been the center of his whole world. But people change. Feelings fade slowly, imperceptibly. Slowly, his tenderness turned to impatience. His devotion turned to indifference. He used to say, as long as my wife likes it, that's enough. Later, he would snap, can you stop talking so much? Save me some face in front of others. He used to say, everything is up to you. Later, he would sneer, what do women know? Just listen to me. He used to say, I can't bear to see you hurt in the slightest. Later, he would sigh irritably, can you stop being so overly sensitive and dramatic? For years I compromised endlessly, swallowed all my grievances silently, maintained his dignity at every dinner party, smiled and nodded when he bragged foolishly in front of his friends. Every night after he embarrassed me, he would come over softly, apologize gently, and say he didn't mean it, begging me not to be angry. I had loved him truly, wholeheartedly, without reservation. But now I was exhausted beyond repair. This exhaustion was not from one single quarrel, one single cruel joke. It was accumulated from countless compromises, countless swallowed tears, countless lonely nights, countless times lowering my pride for his sake. I picked up the silver ring and held it tightly in my palm. The cold metal pressed sharply against my skin, cold enough to match my frozen heart. My phone lit up suddenly. Ji Hui sent a photo. He was lying messy on a hotel bed, drunk and drowsy. Tang Wanzhou leaned intimately on his shoulder, grinning and making a peace sign at the camera. The caption read mockingly, mission completed. Don't worry, sister minus and minus law, we booked to separate rooms. My eyes fell on the necklace swinging around Tang Wanzhou's neck. The pendant was a single letter H. I thought I had already turned completely cold inside, but the photo still stabbed me sharply, piercing my last layer of emotional defense. Had Ji Hui given her this necklace? Or had she worn it on purpose just to provoke me? Had they really done nothing improper that night? I had always known Tang Wanzhou had a crush on Ji Hui from the very beginning. Her eyes had always been filled with hidden hostility and jealousy toward me. I had once overheard Ji Hui's friends gossiping privately, saying that I had stolen Ji Hui from her, that she had been the first one to love him. I had confronted Ji Hui angrily back then. He had paused for a second, then pulled me tightly into his arms, soothing me gently. Don't be ridiculous. We grew up together. If we were meant to be, we would have been together long ago. She's just sister to me, nothing more. Don't overthink it. I had believed him blindly, never taking Tang Wanzhou seriously, thinking her unrequited feelings would fade with time. Now I realized how naive and foolish I had been all those years. The silver ring slipped from my trembling fingers and clanged loudly on the floor. I shook my head slightly, forcing all the painful memories away. None of it mattered anymore. By dawn, I had finished packing completely. 3 large suitcases held all the traces of my 5-year marriage. All the joy, all the sorrow, all the wasted youth. I dragged the suitcases to the front door and glanced back for the last time. The sofa in the living room was chosen together when we were happily in love. He had insisted on buying a huge one, saying we could lie together and watch movies every night for the rest of our lives. The decorations, the plants, the curtains, every corner held old warm memories that now felt bitterly cold. I opened the door, stepped outside, and heard the door click shut behind me, sealing away 5 years of my life forever. The elevator went down slowly. My phone kept ringing non-stop, Ji Hui's name flashing repeatedly on the screen. I stared at his name for 5 seconds, then pressed reject coldly. He called again and again. I rejected every time. Then messages flooded in. Wife, I drank too much last night and stayed in a hotel. Don't be petty. My head hurts badly. Make me hangover soup when you get home. He acted as if nothing had happened at all, as if I would forgive him easily as always, as if I would never leave him. I blocked his number completely and immediately booked a ticket back to my hometown. Early in the morning, I arrived at my best friend Zhang Inian's house with 3 suitcases. She opened the door, saw my tired face and luggage, understood everything instantly, and did not ask a single question. She simply stepped aside and let me in quietly. Want to drink? She pulled out half a bottle of whiskey from the cabinet. Yes, I do. We drank side by side, talking through all 5 years of marriage, from the sweet beginning to the bitter, cold end. When I told her how Ji Wei had made me pour wine for him publicly and ordered me to shut up in front of his friend, Jiang Nian slammed her glass furiously on the table, furious. Who does he think he is? On your wedding day, he knelt down to put shoes on you, swearing to treat you like a queen forever. How dare he change so fast? I smiled faintly, saying nothing. There was nothing left to say. I never thought he would turn out like this, Jiang Nian muttered, her eyes red with tears.